so glad you've joined us here on the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. So I want to talk about something straight ahead that is a fact. We have crazy income inequality in the United States. I want to talk about how that's affecting so much in our society. And then later, I want to talk about having an Amazon, I think the trade name is Echo, the one that has Alexa in its name. Hope I didn't set off your device. Something you got to know about that device I'm going to talk about later in this podcast and YouTube show. So we've got such an odd thing going on in the United States. The wealth overall of the United States is by far the highest it's ever been. The United States, over the last many years, has outkicked almost every country on earth with growth of what's called per capita GDP. That's how much wealth the nation has per individual breathing in this country. The problem we've got is the division of that wealth has gone crazy skewed. And we've had other times in American history this has happened. But that's how you can hear me talk out of both sides of my mouth in almost the same sentence sometimes. I'll talk about, wow, if you should know about this deal and you can do this and do that and spend this money and go there and whatever. And then a second later, I'm talking about people having trouble even paying their monthly rent or mortgage or paying bills of various types. So the Congressional Budget Office recently put out an update that found that the top 10% of earners in the United States have 70%, 70% of the nation's wealth. That may be the greatest disparity maybe in American history, because the stats back in the 1880s, 90s, when there were what we called the robber barons, I don't even know if we could equally compare the stats when we had such horrific income inequality back in the late 1800s. The bottom 50% of Americans now, according to the CBO, have 3% of the nation's wealth. That's why there's so many people, half the population, struggling so much every month. You know, Dollar General that sells generally to people of, Dollar General generally sells to people at the lower end of the income scale, is having to reduce the size of their packaging because people come in and they can't afford to buy the quantity of an item they're coming in to buy they bought before. And then other people buying these fancy designer things. Do you know that Hermes, which is a brand that sells ultra high-end, hope I pronounced that right, they just push through big price increases because their target customer base, people at the ultra high end of the income line, the demand's so high, they're like, okay, we're going to charge more. And a lot of their competitors have been raising prices. We are in such a split right now that leads to such division in society. I don't know exactly how we fix it. I don't know how we address it. I can tell you through history, conditions have changed over time and income disparity has narrowed, but that's no comfort to you if you're having trouble putting food on the table every day and paying rent every month and putting gas in your vehicle every time you have to fill it up. So as a man of privilege, when I don't go to gas stations a lot because I drive electric. I've been driving electric for 14 years. But I rent cars like 30 times a year, more a year. And I go into gas stations and I watch people who are only putting in $2 or $5, which just is enough to get them back on the road going down the road. And then others, like me, we just put the filler thing in. What do you call whatever the gas thing is? And we fill it up and we just pay for it, tap at the pump. I mean, we really do have this split. And unfortunately, because people that are at the higher end of the income scale tend to live close to each other, hang out with each other and all that, there's a disconnect going on right now. So this is something as a society we need to keep doing trial and error to narrow these gaps, because this is not healthy for our society to have. It's great that we have done so much better overall than the rest of the world, almost without exception. But it's terrible that that wealth is not shared. I'm not talking about government forced redistribution or anything like that. I don't know exactly how you do it, how you fix it. But what we got right now isn't good.
I know this was very much more serious, but I have to say you did pronounce Hermes correctly, and you're definitely not wearing an Hermes belt or have ever purchased anything Hermes, so I'm surprised. I mean, nor am I, but where's your belt from?
It's probably a Kirkland signature.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
Yeah. And so you take all the clothes on my body, and I got
you got
14.
Cargo shorts. How much are those?
I got $22 in clothes on my body, not including the belt or my shoes.
Nice.
I spent too much, didn't I?
All right.
Oh, by the way, you have not noticed after we got complaints that my
you have a nice new shirt.
Golf shirts were my Members Mark golf shirts had gotten really long in the tooth and were looking really worn. Mm-hmm. So I got the new Members Mark style from Sam's Club. They were $8, so more than I paid for the last ones that were $6 something. But
very nice.
Are you just saying that?
No, I mean it.
Because I've been wearing them for weeks and you never noticed.
No, I did, but you had told me, so I should have said something. I'm sorry, Clark.
You should have said.
They're very nice.
I look so fashionable.
You do. They're less like worn looking and yeah. Okay, we'll go to questions. Scott in Wisconsin says, I love the show and even have my college graduate daughter listening. My daughter has just over $28,000 in student loans unsubsidized with interest rates of 3.73, 4.99, 5.5, and 6.53 for each of the 4 years. She graduated in 4 years from a Big Ten school. Amazing. We, the parents, have the financial means to pay off her loans to help her jumpstart her post-college years without debt. While we paid all her other college expenses, she is an only child, and we have over $8 million in assets and no other debt. With my wife at 58 and retired, and I'm 56 and still working. We're frugal, and we don't spend money on extravagant houses, cars, vacations, etc. I've read about taking tax breaks for student loan interest and feel that would help ease the pain of interest over the years. Although, should we, 1, pay off the debt in a lump sum by giving her the money, 2, give her the money each month to pay her monthly payment of around $308 and let her deduct the interest on her taxes, or 3, any other considerations?
I would say you're in such good financial shape, and your daughter made it through in 4 years at a big state university, which almost no students do anymore. So she saved you a whole year of expense right there It takes 6 years, I think, often for college
Wow.
student now to get through not working a job while they're in school. And you can afford it, particularly the 5%, the 5.5%, the 6.5%, blow those out. And then I would say something else. Leave her responsible for paying the 3-point-something% so that she'll appreciate more that you wiped out 3 of the 4 years of student loans that were at the higher interest rates. If you just pay them all off, she's not going to appreciate it at all. So leave her with the one at the 3-point-something%. Kill off the others and make it her part of her budgeting that she service that and eventually pay it off. Just my thought, one parent to another, because I think then there's more appreciation.
Michael in Georgia says, I recently received an email from Capital One. It stated that my credit freeze must be removed to continue my application. The problem is I had not applied for credit.
Oh, boy.
Luckily, I had credit freeze from all 3 credit bureaus in place. Then I added fraud alerts and contacted Capital One to let them know that the application for credit in my name was fraudulent. My question is, what else should I do to protect myself?
You have done it, Michael. You have shown the power of the credit freeze. Because without that credit freeze, if you have good credit, that crook would have gotten it, and then you got a mess on your hands. Because let me tell you, when they successfully generate one app, they turn around in the next 48 or 72 hours and they apply for credit all over the place before the credit reporting system catches up on it. And then you're chasing your tail for another year or two trying to clean up all this credit that was obtained fraudulently that was not your responsibility. So you did the greatest prevention there is. You set up credit freezes with the 3 bureaus. You've done your work.
Kevin in North Carolina says, hey, Clark, I don't think I've heard you talk about a home equity agreement yet. Supposedly, you don't have payments, but you are giving up part or maybe all future value of your home. Is this a good thing?
Yeah, it's known as a shared appreciation deal historically. They work many different ways. And so, Kevin, the way it works is you have basically an investor or a group of investors as part of a syndicate who subsidize your cost of living in a home, but you keep responsibility for taxes, maintenance, repairs, anything with the home, but they get a big chunk of future value of that home. So it's a way that you're not hearing me say, yay, this is great, but it is an option, because what it may do is it may make it possible for you to buy a home that you would not have been able to afford otherwise. It is your home to use, but you're basically in a partnership with someone else who is benefiting from the fact that they put up the money for a portion of the purchase of that home so that you can get in a home that you wouldn't have been able to own at all otherwise. So that's the idea. No, the upside is you get in that home. The downside, you don't get a lot of that growth. And you have a partner in the home who may not want to do things you want to do or may not agree to things you want to do. Any shared appreciation deal, you need to hire your own real estate attorney to review the agreement and tell you the goods of it, and more important, the gotchas in that agreement. Coming up ahead, a gotcha from Amazon you need to know. All right, you know how every Amazon Prime Day, mysteriously, the deals on Amazon sold items, not the ones sold by third parties, but overwhelmingly they're various Amazon technology devices, tablets, Echo-type devices that you say that word, Alexa, I'm spelling so they don't trigger your device. Amazon sells all these devices, so they recently laid off a lot of people in that part of their company and discontinued a lot of the devices. But they sell these things because it's to their benefit. Why do you think Amazon is so huge in the home security camera business and sells those cameras many times at a potential loss just because if you're a big Amazon customer and you're having problems with porch pirates, they got that video from you of who the thief is. I mean, they're not dumb there. How did they get to be the world's second largest retailer? Whatever they are. By doing things that serve their interests. Well, now, if you have devices that you say ALEXA to, they're listening not just when you say that, but they're now requiring that if you are a Plus user, that they get all your voice data, all of it. Used to be, before I told you the option where you could opt out of it, they aren't allowing opt-out anymore. So everything personal, everything intimate, every conversation, they're getting. I don't like that. I just don't like that kind of intrusion. So I would say, we used to have one of those Google things you talk to in our bedroom area. And my wife Lane was like, get that out of here. You can put it in the kitchen. You can put it in the living room. It's not going in the bedroom. Smart wife, right? Because even though Amazon is listening, Google said they weren't. But can you trust that? So think about these devices that you bring in, and it really is great to be able, in the case with our Google thing, we got the photos, we can see what's going on, and we'll see an old picture like this morning when I was getting up. My wife saw a picture that was from 15 years ago of our kids, our two younger kids. And she said, hey, I want that picture. I love that picture. It was a picture of the two younger kids with me. And so I was able to send it to her, and she was so happy. But it's not where anybody can be listening to anything we don't want them to be listening to. So think about that with any of these devices you bring in. They can be so nice to have, but you never know what you're talking about that they're hearing. And remember the scandal with Amazon when employees were having a fun time listening to people's private conversations? And then I did the thing about how you could do the opt-out. And now they took away the opt-out. What are you doing there at Amazon?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you use an ALEXA device?
But I use a Google device. And I do know, like, to an extent, like everything we use, that if there are voice commands, they have to be listening for those voice commands. But yeah, there should be other ways to turn off certain things, I think. Okay, well, Brian in Georgia has another beef with Amazon, so I thought I
just want to know why the two of you in my peripheral vision, you and Sally, were laughing about me talking about Lane saying get the device out of the bedroom.
We were just giggling. Okay.
Yeah, that was
Brian in Georgia.
Funny. Okay.
Brian in Georgia says, I hope this email will be a beneficial public service announcement for Amazon Prime members. I've been a subscriber for years and have been pleased with their shopping experience. As I'm sure you're aware, Amazon Music is something you have access to by being a Prime member. I rarely use this service and was surprised to see an Amazon Music charge on my credit card. I found out I was being charged for the Music Unlimited, an upgrade I never asked for. I called Amazon. They said they would refund the money within 5 to 7 business days and assured me the unlimited music was canceled. I received and saved an email confirmation regarding the refund. A month went by with no refund. I called customer service back, and they said they didn't want to honor the promised refund. I referred to the saved email, and after a lengthy discussion, they said they would make an exception and refund the promised amount.
Wait. Make an exception? Come on.
They also confirmed that the unlimited upgrade was canceled. We'll see if the second attempt works.
You know, it really is true that where the rubber meets the road is when a customer has a problem with your company, how do you handle it? And if you handle it well, you create a more loyal customer. If you provide them customer no service, you alienate them and potentially lose them. Now, what's interesting is not a word from Brian that he's willing to live without Amazon. But I think about the ultimate power you have with any company when they treat you like dirt is you kick them out of your life. You couldn't live without Amazon, though, could you?
I could. I could live
You
without
sure?
most things, yes.
You sure you
Really.
could live without
Yeah,
Amazon?
I could.
I don't know. I see you shaking just at the thought.
No, stop. Okay, Marion, Wisconsin says, I'm the durable power of attorney for my elderly aunt who suffers with Alzheimer's. She's in a memory care facility in the state of Minnesota. Beginning in January, the facility started charging a $30 fee per month to submit the billing to long-term care insurance. That is $300 a year. Being the frugal person that I am, I called her long-term care and provider and asked if I could submit the bills myself. They do not allow this as they are fearful of insurance fraud. Is this fee legal? Isn't it part of doing business? Please also note that the facility has raised its rates in excess of 10% every year, always greater than the rate of inflation. Is there anything I can do? The long-term care company said that they have never heard of any other facility charging this fee. The facility claims it's standard practice, although they did charge it in the past, and the facility my own mother is in does not charge it.
So whether it's legal or not depends on you live in Wisconsin, but your aunt is in Minnesota, so you would contact Minnesota. They will have a regulatory body that oversees memory care facilities, and they will be able to tell you if it violates any statute in the state of Minnesota. Okay, so there is a cost to a facility for handling this billing, but the biggest beneficiary of that process is the facility, because they're getting paid by the insurance, by the long-term care insurance. And they're cutting off their own nose to spite their face because they got somebody who's a reliable payer month after month. And so even if the state of Minnesota says there is no law prohibiting it, it's a dumb business practice because it alienates you, and this is a reliable revenue stream that they're charging you a junk fee for. It's weird.
Cory in Ohio says, while applying for a mortgage recently, the loan application our lender provided listed one of our credit cards twice. Upon further investigation, the first listed account is for the first 12 digits of the card only. The second listed account is for the last 4 digits of the card only. When we inquired with our lender, they were able to provide additional information that the first 12 digits were being reported from 2 of the 3 major bureaus, with the third bureau reporting the last 4 digits. In short, our balance is being double counted. Thankfully, we pay off our cards every 2 weeks, so the balances are small, but I wonder how one would go about reconciling this issue.
So this is, Cory, something that the mortgage underwriter would normally be familiar with. The way different loans that are outstanding are listed on different credit reports can vary. As you said in your case, it's listed one way on 2 reports and then a third way on the third. So when you're going through mortgage underwriting, they go through a different kind of process that's a tri-report. And it's one that's put together for the mortgage underwriter that pulls all 3 credit bureau reports and puts them together on one master report. Normally, a credit issuer, for most anything else, car loan, credit card, home equity line of credit or whatever, they're only pulling one credit report from one bureau. This kind of thing with things double posting or even potentially triple posting is, to my knowledge, only occurs with mortgage underwriting and mortgage credit reports. So in terms of harm to you, probably none from this. A mortgage underwriter might ask a question, hey, why do you have two different accounts with this card company or whatever? But it should not be a disqualifier on what are known as ratios, how much debt you're carrying, because it is a known thing to a mortgage underwriter about the discrepancies and how something might double or triple post because of the way it's reported to the three major credit bureaus. I want to thank you so much for your question, all the questions we've had today, and you being with us on our YouTube show and our podcast. And if you have a question for me, know you can post it at clark.com/ask. And know that the reason we're here is we're all here to serve each other. We're all here to help each other, to impart knowledge, wisdom to each other so that we are in a better position to save more and spend less and avoid getting ripped off. Tomorrow, our Ask an Advisor podcast, and then I'll be back with you on Wednesday. Have a great day.